Doreen and Lyle, they've been trying to comply with the Peace River Regional District when they asked me to help them in their pursuit of this. They'd already been fighting for 2 years and still did not understand the regulations. They didn't understand what was being asked of them. The regional district doesn't give people any type of direction. They just throw it at you and tell you that you need to do it, and whether you know how to do it or not, they don't care. So when I started helping them, we submitted a request for exclusion to the ALC. And at that time, the director from this area was very much in favor of them building a campsite, mainly because the old Pooskoopi campsite had been shut down and will never be opened. And where Doreen and Lyle were proposing to put their campsite was right across the river from the other one. With having a campsite in Pooskoopi, it helps the village economically because you've got tourists stopping in at the stores and the restaurants. And Village of Pooskoopi themselves were also on board for this, so they had approval from the people in the community. Doreen went to several of the property owners close to their property and got letters of support from them. They all wanted it as well. So it wasn't like they were building something that nobody wanted. Everybody wanted them to have this campsite here. They've never been able to move forward with it now due to all the regional district regulations and the ALC regulations. The regional district keeps moving the goalposts. They want building permits for 5 buildings. Then next thing you know, they want building permits for all the buildings. Then they want engineered drawings, and they want engineered drawings for all of them. Whether they are required or not, a lot of the buildings aren't required to have permits because of the BC Building Code. They don't have to have a building permit for something less than 10 meters squared. But the regional district is trying to force them to get building permits and engineered drawings for a greenhouse, for example, or a 3-walled lean-to, where there's no requirement for them to have it. They're just getting astronomical with their requests. When Doreen and Lyle do try to comply, and if they get even close with compliance, the regional district moves the goalposts and says, oh no, now we want this instead, or we want this as well as. And they assume that everybody in this area is computer literate, that everybody can read all of these regulations and understand them. The average layman gets into those regulations and it's section 1, A, B, C, and D is applicable to this, and section 9, and it gets confusing for them. They have a hard time seeing where they have to go. And with no direction to help them, they're just being set up to fail. They'll never get ahead because the setup is for failure. It's not to move forward. And in all honesty, the only time that they act on anything is if somebody puts in a written complaint. So if nobody puts in a written complaint against a farm, that farm can be out of compliance for 100 years and nobody's never said anything. New person buys it, and if somebody puts in a complaint because their dogs bark too much or they don't like the color of their house, then they're going to be dealing with the ALC in the regional district. Why are they not proactive instead of reactive? Why aren't they out there telling people before they get into trouble, before they go down the money pit? Why don't they tell them before that to tell them that, oh, well, no, this, you can't do this, you can't do that, instead of running around chasing afterwards, trying to make people comply with their bylaws? Well, why don't they make sure that that information is out there? When Doreen and Lyle started this fight with the regional district, we couldn't even get a copy of the bylaws. It wasn't on their website. They were telling Doreen and Lyle to comply with bylaws that were non-existent. I had to actually phone their office and get a copy of the bylaws from one of the land planners, because we were only getting bits and pieces from some of the staff at the regional district. So they really need to pull up their socks and do what their jobs are meant to be instead of being out there and getting in people's faces. They need to work with them. They really need to work with them. Otherwise, it's nothing's going to end for any of these property owners.